basically,
Indoor cats
the
never get old, mostly because they are so old and mysterious. After all,
the plan was when I acted like a Lilo and Stitch CD or something, but I couldn't find
at the end of the
anything.
day, all we
So
have are
now
bones.
we
The
got
subjects of today's
Smilodon
video are a pair of cats you wouldn't want to pick a bone
today.
with if you were around during the Ice Age. The saber-toothed
Did my
Smilodon
battery
and
go
Homotherium.
out?
Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Why does my Google keep opening up and like searching shit again?
As we take a closer gander at these ancient killers, where and how they lived, and why they went extinct. What's the reality between these two cats? Let's find out. Saber-toothed nightmare. The word saber-toothed cat generally refers to the several genera and species within an extinct subgroup within Felidae, the cat family. This subgroup is the Machairodontinae, or scimitar-toothed cat subfamily. As you already know, these kitties were largely typified by extra-long upper canine teeth.
So they all
the length of said teeth varied depending on this particular
Because I don't
species
know
of
no
Machairodon.
cat
And Machira is a
with
type of
teeth
Greek
like
short
this.
sword, and Odontus is Greek for tooth. The cats themselves are deader than the ancient Greek Empire, having died out in the early Holocene, about 8,000 years ago, after a nearly 20 million year run. So far, paleontologists have unearthed around 80 species distributed across 23
But look, chat, they had a hell of a run though. Like Loki.
genera. These
Y'all
animals
are
range from the sizes
getting
of lynxes to brown bears, and
like
had a wide
film
distribution across
beauty
Africa,
shit.
Eurasia, and the Americas. Today's subjects,
Tomorrow
Homotherium
or
and Smilodon,
something.
are, or were, two of the larger genera within the subfamily. Homotherium lived from the Pliocene to the late Pleistocene, temporal range of 4 million to 12,000 years ago. Fossils have been found in Eurasia, North America, and Africa. Alleged Homotherium remains have been found in South America, but these are still the subject of much debate. There are 3 widely accepted species, though more may be possible. There was Homotherium latidens from Eurasia, and Homotherium cerum and Homotherium iscyrus from North America. Homotherium fossils found in Africa.
You know why I think I can take them to... Let me just make sure that, like, that shit don't open up anything no more. Let me just make sure that this shit doesn't open up bullshit anymore. Okay.
Have yet to be solidly classified into a particular species because of how fragmented they are. One possible South American species is Homotherium venezuelensis, but some scholars argue that this animal is actually Xenosmilus, another genus of Machairodont, very similar to Homotherium. Smilodon, on the other hand, first emerged during the early Pleistocene and went extinct in the early Holocene, a range of 2.5 million to 8,000 years ago.
I hate to say it, bro, but if prehistoric humans took this, put me in there with like a AK-47, and they all going extinct, and they all going extinct, chat. I'm sorry to say it, but...
literally from the northernmost tip to the southernmost. Now, when we say that these cats were large, we mean pretty much bigger than most modern cats. Homotherium was the smaller of the two, and its largest species was about the size of a modern African lion or tiger. Body length was between 4 feet 11 inches and 6 feet 7 inches, while shoulder height was up to 3 feet 7 inches. Weight was up to 4 pounds, making it a pretty hefty unit.
Like hands on hands, a problem. AK-47, not a problem at all.
Smilodon was around the same size in many cases, but some species were much, much larger. The weight range for the genus as a whole ranged from 120 to 800 pounds on average. Smilodon gracilis
You
was
know
the
how
smallest
I
of the lot.
say
In
that
North
we
America,
have to
Smilodon
cut
fatalis
things
was in the middle of the range.
into parts?
Smilodon populator, the
We
saber-toothed
might
tiger
actually
of
have
South
to
American
cut. This
wilds,
is a
was
holy app.
arguably the largest cat ever, with some big males weighing around 1,000 pounds or more. Both cats were considerably robust, with Smilodon being
Look.
significantly bulkier and more.
Why does my Google keep searching shit? I don't want you to search shit for me, bro. Like,
More solid than modern lions and tigers. They were similar in proportion to modern forest cats, with rear limbs that were a touch shorter than the front, which suggests that they were built for moderate speed pursuits and ambush predation, rather than long drawn-out chases. Smilodon had particularly formidable forelimbs, likely for grabbing and manipulating prey like many modern big cats. However, Homotherium's are not as robust, and the claws were relatively short, which suggests they didn't use them for grabbing as much. Instead, Homotherium had particularly large incisors, which it used to grab hold of prey, much like a dog or hyena. These two
this
cats
pause.
would have overlapped in certain places and times, particularly in the Americas.
Hold on. And we hear yes, we're here. Sorry I had to pause.
Who have competed for a lot of the same prey, including wild pigs, horses, birds, bovids,
for the
and more.
sec.
People were doubtlessly part of the menu whenever the opportunity arose, but it's more than likely that humans had the upper hand in that particular struggle. Still, in a one-on-one physical clash with no weapons, a human would have stood no chance against a Homotherium or Smilodon cat.
I'm gonna clean up my tablet from like viruses after this.
Cats. They're sabers. Homotherium's canines were on the shorter side of the Machairodont spectrum at around 4 inches. However, this is no longer than the canines of any living cat species, though it's unclear if they would have been visible when the Homotherium had its mouth closed. These teeth were broad-based and serrated, making them perfect for powerful slashing. In hunting, Homotherium used its teeth to sever throats and cause rapid blood loss. With its long, powerful neck, Homotherium was quick and strong enough to get in position to strike killing blows without having
I haven't gotten any traction on anything yet.
These teeth would have been capable of inflicting puncture wounds.
I think I can just react to whatever I want until it sticks.
Which had the longest canines in the entire subfamily. These canines range from 5 to 11 inches, with Populator boasting the longest. It's highly unlikely that Smilodon could hide these saber teeth like Homotherium, and most depictions reflect that. Smilodon's teeth were noticeably narrower, more slender, and lacked serration.
I'm a beat a Smilodon's ass, but I'm gonna have a trouble with the other one though, because it can hide its teeth. But Smilodon, I can just
and forelimbs to pin prey in position before delivery.
With the Smilodon, I can just lip its fucking teeth and shit out.
Bring quick stabbing bites to soft, vulnerable spots. Smilodon teeth were fairly delicate.
The epic online action game War Thunder lets you dive into massive battles in we're still on the same vid, or okay, good. I got scared. Sorry for the ad, bro. Sorry for the ads. I just don't care enough to hide the ads anymore.
Were at risk of breaking if they bit into bone, or if they were exposed to stress caused by struggling prey for long periods. Being stabbed by 11-inch daggers out in the prehistoric wild was pretty much a death sentence, even for some of the biggest animals. Such blows to the neck or underbelly would have led to severe bleeding and death. Smilodon and Homotherium cats could also open their jaws.
The modern day would kinda be vicious, like
modern cats, They fed by slicing
cat.
meat off with their carnassial teeth, which are at the sides of the jaws. This allowed them to eat
This
without their long
thing
canines
versus
getting in
a
the way.
lion.
Interestingly,
A
despite
lion
having
is
bigger
dying
teeth,
to that.
Smilodon likely had a weaker
And
body
if a
force than
lion
modern
is
big
dying to
cats.
that, that means I'm
Smilodon's
dying to
skull
that.
had a fairly small set of zygomatic arches, which means it could not support large temporalis muscles. Temporalis
I
muscles.
know this is a little off topic, but you know those YouTube series of animals, and then they have like lives and shit. Do you think there's one for Smilodon? And y'all want me to react to that type of stuff?
And are therefore
So I'd
what
be
powers
interested
the
in it.
jaws. After crunching a bunch of numbers based on the size and geometry of the various skulls and arches,
You know when they
a bunch
have
of
like
scientists concluded
clans.
that, on average, Smilodon cats had a bite that was merely a third of a modern lion's. In other words, Smilodon had between 220 and 330 pounds per square inch of biting power, which is lower than some domestic dogs. This is the same
lower than the
Homotherium,
domestic.
which also sacrificed
I
sheer
am
biting power for
living.
quick kills. Again, skull
I
structures
am
suggest
living,
weak jaw
never
muscles compared to
mind.
modern big cats that rely on bite force to strangle
Here's
their
the
prey
thing,
and crush
right?
bone.
Shit. Don't mind the ad cat. Here's the thing,
The
right?
lack of bite force.
Here's the thing. I'm not dying to something that bites me weaker than a dog, bro. A dog bite is the weakest of bites. Well, depending on the dog.
Doubt over how effective these cats were
Like,
at harvesting
I'm
bones
not.
from marrow. Surely, as animals that lived through
I'm
the
not.
ice ages, Smilodon.
I'm not surviving a cane corso biting me. Have y'all seen those? But I am surviving this though. For sure.
Scavenging jobs.
Shortsky.
Well, maybe not. Perhaps this jaw power issue was part of the two Machaerodonts' ultimate
This is
demise.
gonna be a long
Despite being
act,
cousins within
yeah.
the same subfamily, Smilodon and Homotherium were actually
They're
separated
doing
by
like
over
some
18
cuts.
million years of divergence from a common ancestor. These two, along with the rest of Machaerodontini, are separated from the two living subfamilies
tablet up after,
by
so
over 20
that
million years of genetic divergence.
shit
Is
doesn't
home to small to medium cats,
so that
including
shit
domestic
doesn't
cats, lynxes,
pop
cougars,
up
cheetahs,
from.
and servals. Pantherini is the big cat subfamily, and it is made up of
Well,
jaguars, lions,
lynxes are
tigers, and
kinda
leopards.
cute.
Smilodon and Homotherium often lived in similar places and at the same time as these cats, yet they and the rest of the Machaerodonts are all gone these days. Their extinctions are largely a mystery to us today, but a few theories abound. In the case of Homotherium latidens, scientists blame the emergence of new large cat species, like the cave lion, Panthera fossilis, and the intense competition that they brought. Smilodon's extinction is largely blamed on the disappearance of a lot of the mega herbivores that were a staple of...
Maybe God was just like, nah, I'ma hit the restart button. I didn't do good on that one.
its diet.
Maybe
Animals
that's
like
what
giant
happened.
bison, wild horses, camelids, and giant sloths died out. And the way their demise coincided with that of the
What the
Smilodon
fuck
cats
was
is
that
often
sloth
used as
thing,
evidence.
cat?
American Homotherium species are believed to have gone extinct for similar reasons. The impact of mega herbivores being wiped out was amplified
We might
by the
have
level of
to
competition
react
for
to
small
the giant sloth, chat. Cause now I wanna know what that was.
prey. Other felids like lynxes, cougars, and jaguars, as well as other predator groups like wild dogs, were much better at hunting these smaller critters.
So,
they could get enough nutrition from this small prey to
our
sustain themselves.
humanity's
and of course,
theory
there are human beings.
is
Both
that
Smilodon
it
and
went
Homotherium
extinct because
would have
it
crossed
couldn't
paths with
keep
people
up.
during the latter stages of their existence.
So
and were a
basically,
threat to the cats directly, a threat to their habitats, and a major competitor.
the thing had a damn
For food.
skill issue.
Around the same
thing
time,
had a
Homo
skill
sapiens showed
issue.
up. Another potential cause for these big cats'
So
downfall
weepy
might
they
have been
asked.
how exposed their cubs were. Other predators and humans would not have hesitated to kill Smilodon or Homotherium cubs on sight. and given the fairly slow reproduction rate among big cats, this could have dealt a fatal blow to their populations. Unfortunately, there is
Can
very
we
little evidence to prove
bring
this
back
particular theory,
them too?
but the emergence of new predators is often a major threat to the
Can we
vulnerable young
bring
breasted
back
animals
them
that
too?
aren't used
Like,
to predation. In addition to the
I
mystery of
know
their
we're
extinction,
bringing
there
back
is
the
a lot of
dire
murkiness
wolf
surrounding
and
their
shit.
respective sociability.
So,
Many researchers often lean on
can
the
we
relative
bring
proximity
them
of
back
certain
as
fossils,
well?
particularly at California's La Brea tar pits, to hint that
Damn.
these cats were highly social and lived in groups. Another potential sign of gregarious living.
There's gonna be a ton of action, y'all. There's gonna be a ton of fucking action. A ton of it, though. Okay. I'm gonna clean up all that.
Was that these cats were
Malware,
pretty
so it
large
doesn't
and tended to operate in open grasslands.
interrupt my
Lions, which
action.
also live in grasslands, are highly dependent on group life and hunting to offset their bulk, lack of stamina, and limited cove. Of course, it's important to remember that lions are the general outlier when it comes to modern wild cats. Most felids are actually very solitary and territorial, and many other scholars use this fact as a basis for their assertions that Homotherium and Smilodon were, in fact, solo hunters as well.
Alright. So basically, what you're telling me is this thing died because it had a skill issue to it.